Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the recap of Stage 15 of the Tour de France from Champagnol to Plateau de Solaizon. One of the most dramatic days of the Tour de France so far, not just the stage itself, unexpected things happening, sad things happening, but also surprising things in the evening as well. And so, yeah, we had a lot of news before the stage even started. The stage profile is not really multiple mountains. It's like false slide uphill at the start, the intermediate sprints at 17Ks. We knew that was going to be controlled. I don't think that's the correct thing to do, but nonetheless, we'll talk about that. So that's on a slight uphill at 17Ks. Then that leaves a 6K 5% climb where you'd think the break might form. Then 50 to 60Ks of like rolling downhill, then a short hill zone, then Le Salève, which is 4.6Ks, 11.1%, but it's actually 7Ks at 9%. It's quite long. Descent, then another 2K, 8% kicker, then 30Ks of sort of fast highway down, false flat downhill before the Solaizon, which is 30 to 33 minutes at 9%. The first 4Ks are very, very steep. And so it's the hardest mountaintop finish we've had in the Tour since Granon, I would say. And the Croisette, the Le Salève, is the hardest section of climbing we've had in the Tour since we've ever had the pod, I think.
Yeah, I feel probably. That's a really hard climb, especially you don't necessarily see that often in a stage that has a brutal finishing climb like Plateau de Solaizon. So it's also in a position where it kind of looks unlikely that the rains will blow up at that point, but you're still hoping it, I'm like looking for any possibility of satellite riders in the breakaway to get over that. But before we dive into the stage, Patrick, there were some happenings overnight with anti-doping controls in both the UAE camp and the Visma camp. Jonas Vingegaard was woken up at, I think, 2 a.m. last night for a anti-doping test, and Tadej Pogacar at 5 a.m. Those are pretty unusual hours. Am I correct saying that?
They are unusual hours. So this has not really obviously happened before, otherwise we would have heard of it, because both Pogacar and Vingegaard separately brought this up. Apparently, we've had conflicting articles brought out, as in articles from like anti-doping legislation or regulations. Is it UCI's remit? The UCI, obviously, they subcontract or delegate their testing authority to the ITA. Is it a national federation who's delegated an authority to test French anti-doping, for example? So you have the ITA, you have French anti-doping, for example. I think riders have tested positive in and out of competition control with German National Federation's anti-doping body, not necessarily the ITA. So I don't think we know 100% from the articles, Benji, who the testers were. I think for present purposes, we'll assume it was the ITA because they have the remit from the UCI. Yeah. And 2 a.m., 5 a.m. First question I have for you is, which one would you prefer? And I want the comments below as well.
If I was a Tour de France cyclist, right?
Yeah, not us, because obviously if it's us, it's 2 a.m. Because I'm awake at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would probably also choose 2 a.m. because I'm more used to waking up or being awake early at night than doing so overnight. Nah, I would choose the 2 a.m. part. But if I was a cyclist, then I think I might prefer the 5 a.m. because I'd like to believe that if I was a pro cyclist that I wouldn't go to bed for beyond 11 in the evening. And if that's the case, then 11 to 5 is 6 hours sleep is quite okay. If I can try and fall asleep even more after 5 a.m. after the testing is done, so 5:36, then maybe 1 or 2 you can get. But I don't know.
I think I'm going to take the 2 sets of 4. I'm going to go 10 till 2 and then 3 till 7. Or I'm gonna go.
There's no way, even as a pro cyclist, you're getting in bed at 10.
So Pogacar, apparently he goes to bed late. He's a kindred spirit of me and you, Benji. He goes to bed after midnight and then wakes up late in the Tour de France.
Is that related to the World Cup, or is that his standard sleeping schedule?
I think that's his standard sleeping schedule.
That's insane. Going to bed at 1 a.m. as a Tour de France winning cyclist.
I think it's like 12. I don't think it's 1. I don't want 5 o'clock because 5 o'clock you're not going to get back to sleep as easy. That's my problem with it. And Pogacar said he couldn't get back to sleep. He said he was over-caffeinated this morning. He put on some Eminem albums. That's not me being doing a bit. I'm quoting him. He's put on some Eminem albums. It's okay. All jokes aside, I'm picking 2 a.m. by the way. Benji's going 5 a.m. Me and you looked at each other this morning. Full transparency. Me and Benji texted each other this morning, and we both were like, "I thought this was already happening, or should have already been happening."
Like, there's a lot of conversation about whether it's human for cyclists who need their recovery on a nightly basis to maybe not be tested between certain hours at night. And I thought actually that it wasn't allowed. Genuinely.
The testing.
You were the one that brought up, I thought this was already happening. I thought there was a time slot at night where you couldn't test riders, and this was part of it. But and I think Jonas has said that he thought that was the case as well, but apparently rules-wise that's not the case. So I'm still very confused about what the rules are. You're saying it's allowed, I'm going to believe you.
I assume it's allowed, but let's say the rules, like you can't refuse it. You can't refuse a test. So the reality is as well, no athlete is ever going to refuse a test, because refusing a test is, if you're wrong to refuse the test or it's not a legitimate reason, you're at risk. That is an anti-doping rule violation. It is deemed a positive test. So you can never refuse a test, even if you had Harvey Specter, best lawyers in the world, on the phone at 2 a.m. saying you don't have to take it. The point is you're already awake. So you're going to take the test. But I assume it's allowed. Of course, I think it's allowed. And I'm maybe in the vast minority here. I heard on the words you said, human rights. They weren't you, but they were brought up a lot. Yeah, breach of human rights. Let's get a grip here. Like, human rights. Like, I understand. I understand. If I was Jonas or Pogacar, of course you'd be pissed. Of course you would. I understand why they'd be pissed, but you can't block out a 7-hour window.
I agree.
Drugs could potentially have a half-life less than 7 hours or 7 hours, and then you could never catch anybody that was using a prohibited substance with a short half-life.
Now, my take is maybe half similar to you, but slightly different. I think it's okay to do this overnight, even at 2 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever, on the condition, and maybe this is logistically not possible, but I want it to be fair across the board.
That's
so
correct.
If you do it for 2 riders, I want you to do it for the entire top 15, which maybe that's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean, right?
No, you're right.
2 riders on the podium were woken up in the middle of the night in between 2 mountain stages, while the third rider on the podium does not have that. I think that's unfair across the board. Lastly, I'm not going to bury the lead on Jonas Vingegaard in this podcast episode. Later in today's stage, with about 20 kilometers to go, Jonas Vingegaard crashes and abandons the Tour de France. We'll go in depthly into how he crashed, etc. later while we go through the stage. But is there a world, conspiracy hat onwards, is there a world in which lack of concentration as a consequence of being woken up in the middle of the night can lead to a crash like that where you can break your collarbone and be out of the Tour de France?
I mean, I think there's many factors in how the crash happened, where on the list, that would be at the bottom.
Okay.
I mean, the riders have also done like 120 Ks up to that point, descents, etc. There's probably, I would say, the road furniture, everything going on in that corner is more likely to be a cause of the crash. I mean, also one bad night's sleep. Maybe it is. Maybe it's literally impossible to say otherwise. What we can say is Pogacar and Jonas had disturbed sleep. I think if you really want to have a clean sport and say we're cleaner than other sports,
every single rider needs to be woken up at 2 a.m. every night. Is that what you were going to say?
You at least need the threat of it. And you have to do it occasionally. I'm sorry, but then, yeah.
So, your take is basically, and I agree with you completely, the most shocking part about this is that this is the first time this is happening under the current rules.
Yeah, I was shocked.
If those rules allow it.
I was shocked. I was like, shouldn't this have been happening all the time?
Yeah.
Because
I see it.
You're like, oh, why are you so cynical? Why are you so cynical? It's like, okay, well, I'm not. I just look at all the reports of what came out from cycling's dark history and what people were getting up to. And then you need to put measures in place that prevent that behavior, or at least make it impossible to do so. So I think it's, now the riders, when you're a clean rider and you're in the middle of the Tour de France, of course, you're like, this is unbelievable. You're waking me up in the middle of 2 mountain stages at 2 a.m. But if it contributes to a cleaner sport, I think it's... But what you said, Benji, how do you do it for just the top 2?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
At least the podium, at least the top 5.
It's like we draw the line. The 8th rider, the financial incentive wouldn't be big enough. So we're just going to draw like you have to do it. It has to be equal or fair. At least, like you said, probably top 15.
Yeah, and also just at random pick one rider per night out of like a bowl.
Well, that's the thing. Like when everything that came from the 2000s and the 90s, it wasn't just you couldn't just draw the line and say, yeah, well, everyone below Jan Ullrich and Armstrong, they were gravy. I don't think that was the case. Anyway,
there's a reason I don't watch that era of cycling again.
The Remco was actually like, they're not allowed to do that.
I think a lot of people in the sport read that and thought that's not allowed. I at first as well. It's you who told me it was.
I just assumed it was. I mean, I was like, I just couldn't believe it would not be allowed because, yeah, they have to do it. Well, there has to be the threat of it. Anyway, human rights were breached this early in the morning today. We then have the stage starts. And we have the intermediate sprint, Alpecin control. Benji, can you explain to me why Mathieu van der Poel has not been contesting these intermediate sprints to put himself between Philipsen and Pedersen?
I cannot give you the answer because that's the exact question that I asked you this morning when it was happening on my TV. I was looking a little trek doing a lead out for Pedersen. That's all fine. Philipsen comes around. I have not seen much Van der Poel being relevant in these intermediate sprint outside of maybe 1 or 2 times doing a lead out for Van der Poel. For Philipsen. That's fair. But you would expect Van der Poel to be present in these intermediate sprints because it's not completely unreasonable for Van der Poel to at one point beat one of these sprinters at an intermediate sprint. He's not that slow. He's beaten Pedersen in a one-up sprint.
It's uphill too.
Multiple times before. Like, it won't happen 50% of the time, but if you can do it twice out of 10 times, that's quite a bit of points.
It's literally like it's 4 points every time. You do it 5 times, that's another 20 points. So, and it's an uphill sprint too. It's not that hectic. Like Van der Poel is more than capable of being in the mix here. So, I think I've found it very strange how the teams have approached the intermediate sprints where you want to maximize not the points available, but the difference in points between your sprinter and the others, which does, you do that by putting 25 in play. Anyway, after the stage, can I do maths? Philipsen is only leading by 31 points ahead of, Philipsen's 31 points behind Pedersen. So I've taken a look at the intermediate sprints, in the future, I think Pedersen's got this wrapped up. Even if Philipsen wins 17 and 21. So,
rest of the stage, lots of break formation. It's like an hour of break formation. We've got these rolling hills for the first 40, 50 kilometers of the stage. I swear there was no breakaway until like 120, 110 kilometers to go. And that to me starts slowly but surely shouting. If a team like UAE wants to win the stage, they can now start controlling quite comfortably and still win the stage. But is it me or was UAE Team Emirates a bit absent at the start of the stage with Vermeers being behind the peloton, multiple of their riders not necessarily looking that great today? Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Wellens basically on the Col d'Aspin. Wellens reduced the peloton to 25 riders. Today, he was dropping on a 5% climb from the peloton of 120. But I don't think it matters for UAE. Like, they know that they just let the break formation happen and the break formation will cannibalize itself. They've been doing it for 3 years. They don't have to do anything. I mean, as long as Jonas doesn't jump in the break or Remco, which by the way, like, I think almost could have happened today. It was only Pogacar in front at certain points, but yeah, I think the way they approach this is vindicated in that they don't have to do anything because the break just didn't form. We had Aronsman going ahead with Asperen. We had VPP taking the KOM. And then I was like, oh, this is going to be really hard for the break to form now because we're downhill. We're downhill for 50 Ks where you're getting a huge draft in the wheels. And that's what happened. We then had a break go with kind of rouleurs, no climbers, except for Aronsman. Ineos were really happy with it. Had Schmidt and Bling in it. But then EF weren't in it. They didn't have Carapaz in it, no Baudin, no Healy. So EF, you put the full team on the front, smash it, they bring it back, break formation goes again. Eventually, just when you think, oh, guys, give it up, it's not gonna go, it goes. And it has the right composition because the GC teams are all in, all the ones that want to be in. We got Decathlon with APP, Simmons for Trek, Van Dijk for Red Bull, Armorel Campeonato for Visma, Yates for UAE, and then Pidcock's in once again with a tug buddy, as well as Vauquelin and Baudin for EF. So everyone's pretty happy with this break.
I think it's fair to say that's true, and I do have to applaud Q46.5 and Pidcock for going in the break now 3 times in the last week. There's a bunch of other GC riders or top 10 riders in GC that wouldn't even remotely dare to go in the breakaway at the cost of what if I melt on the final climb as a consequence of my attempts to get in the breakaway. Pidcock dares to risk that. He's trying to get a stage win and a potential top 10 in GC. This is how you play that, and he's doing a pretty perfect job. And let's be honest, even in the stages where he gets caught by the peloton, it still benefits him that he was in the breakaway because he's starting the final climb earlier than the GC group. So even in today's stage, spoilers, it helps him that he was in this 23-man breakaway. But there was a moment where I was like, I would pay to see Jonas Vingegaard attack on the Côte de la Croisette with 50 kilometers to go on that steep, hard climb to 2 satellite riders in the breakaway, Admiraal Kampenaerts. And you know when I realized that was definitely not going to happen? When Visma Lease Bike started pacing in the peloton, reducing their gap, or at least limiting the gap that the breakaway had to 2 minutes 30, which means that Admiraal and Kampenaerts wouldn't necessarily have the gap over the top of the Côte de la Croisette to even be possibly helping Jonas if a lead out in the peloton came behind. The gap wouldn't be big enough if they started a lead out behind. So,
and you don't know what Decathlon will do. Because Riccatello's looked better, but I was like, use him or lose him. If there's one climb you put Riccatello in this race for, to put in fatigue, it's this climb. It's 12% for 12 to 14 minutes, and you don't know if Decathlon are going to pace. So indeed, the gap does go out to 3 minutes. You've got Yates, Pidcock in there is probably the best climbers, although they weren't. There was someone else who was today. Crazy performance. We get to La Salève. Piganzoli starts pacing for Visma. It's a group of about 25. We've still got not just leaders, but we've got a Verona for Trek, a Groschartner for UAE, Caruso even for Lenny Martinez. And Simmons attacks the group behind. I think Simmons, the others were not really allowed to work with Pidcock because Pidcock is only 2 minutes behind Schkelmoser and like less than 4 minutes behind Ayuso. So Simmons is not allowed to work full, from what I could see, with Pidcock, nor Yates was kind of cruising too, because he was there to be a satellite rider later. Simmons, he might win San Sebastian.
Mate, he was cooking, and especially on that La Salève when he literally attacked the group where Pidcock was hard pacing most of the climb, reducing that group to maybe Adam Yates, Rubio, Vazar, Kostju, Schmidt. The fact that Simmons was the man that made that gap and kept that gap relatively to the top, I've been shocked by the level of Simmons, especially on today's stage, because he doesn't just do it on this climb. We'll see it later in the stage as well. I must say I was hoping something would happen on the Salève. Nothing really happened outside of Simmons attacking the breakaway. And in the peloton, I think Piganzoli took over a bit for Visma. And then maybe Jorgensen took over later on the climb with Jonas in second wheel, but the tempo was literally slower than Simmons, right? On Croisette?
Yeah. They lost 15 seconds, I think. Simmons took out 15 seconds. Jorgensen takes over at the top. He does the descent. And here we see the descent. Jorgensen going first. Vingegaard losing the wheel sometimes. They do get Jorgensen's a very fast descender. He gains on Pidcock. Pidcock comes back to Simmons. There's no great cooperation in that group immediately, at least. And
what's the gap?
It went
Under
down to
3 minutes, roughly?
It went down to 240 at the end of the descent. So Jorgensen did do a good descent, and we get to the valley. There's then another kicker. Jorgensen paces again, gets it down to like 220, and then Visma catch up with their satellite riders. So they have 6 now. So to go for the stage, to protect Kuss and Piganzoli for Solaison, they got 6 riders. Armorel, Campenaerts, Court. The 3 of them, Campenaerts, Armorel, Jorgensen, all 3 start riding absolutely full in this like false flat downhill valley. Schmidt anticipates from the breakaway, which wasn't great for them, I think. Like, they probably needed to work together. They definitely needed to work together. Because also Simmons is like, I'm not going to drag Pidcock on this valley myself. And so the break is getting destroyed, basically. It's down to under 2 minutes to Pidcock. It's 150, it's 145. And then we see, I was playing with a, that was going to sound weird. I want
to hear what you're about to say now. You can't say A without B.
I was distracted by a child wanting to play tug of war with one of Toby's toys. And I look around, and then suddenly I see all of Visma Lisa bike on the ground.
For me, it was the opposite situation. I was distracted by a tweet by Luc Refte, because I think Luc Refte, our producer, has some kind of like super satellite in space where he can find a way to watch cycling a minute before I do, because he tweeted, Vingegaard broken collarbone. And I saw the tweet, and Vingegaard just riding on my broadcast. And I'm like, why would he lie about something like that on Twitter? Luke, why would you do that?
It's worse than at least he didn't do when he does in our group chat. No. Then I'm like, what? That's worse.
I hate it when he says, no.
Or he goes, ooh. I'm like, it's you. So,
that said, it is a pretty sad thing that happens, because 10 seconds later, Jonas Vingegaard is one of the riders of his Malisa bike that is on the floor after a right-hand bend with a bit of a traffic island structure. I don't know what you call that thing in the middle that they had to go around, or at least chose to go around. Before we deep dive into how the crash technically exactly happens, Jonas Vingegaard seemingly breaks his collarbone, is completely out of the Tour de France.
It's so shit.
It sucks, man. I don't have words for that.
Because Vingegaard, not only is he, he's had a big year, he's come here in good shape. Yesterday he was very strong. He's endured 2 weeks really straight of stages that didn't suit him too well.
Yep.
And he was just getting to the final climb where I think he was going to show what he can really do. And then he crashes out. Also a guy who has, like, up to then, an unbelievable record in Grand Tours. I think Vingegaard never abandoned a Grand Tour before. He's
literally
first, second.
If you look at the Tour de France 2026 will be the first Tour de France since 2020 where Jonas and Tadej are not the top 2 of the Grand Tour, of the Tour de France. That's a crazy statistic that you don't see that in the rest of the history of the Tour de France. Those two have been neck on neck for ever since 2021, when Vingegaard had to step in after Roglic crashed out in the first week. But it's devastating, especially, you said it. We said it half on the podcast, and I think we spoke about it again after the podcast yesterday, where I literally told you, I think Jonas will be a lot closer to Pogacar than he was in the last 2 weeks on Plateau de Solaison, because it's a climb that fits him better, and the valleys and the descents after the climb have really cost him so far.
Yeah.
But on the mountains themselves, the gap has not been significant. So I expected Jonas within 30 seconds of a Tadej Pogacar if Tadej goes all out on Plateau de Solaison. But we don't know now. It's a big if. And it's also at a point where there were some articles in the last couple of weeks about Jonas Vingegaard and how he felt about being part of his Malisa bike last year, and he talking about a bit of a burnout in 2025, and then I look at him crashing out of this Tour de France, and I don't know what's next for Jonas. Is that a fair question?
Well, I mean, he's just literally crashed, so I think it's impossible to know what's next for him, but I think he was very, very motivated, and yeah, you don't just arrive by accident to not just the Giro to win it, but to the Tour de France in such good shape. So it's I also found those, some of the prognostications a little bit strange in that, like, the same thing happened with Roglic to a certain extent, but it's not a coincidence Vingegaard arrived at the Tour de France and he was sitting in second, and I personally think he was going to do a very, very big performance on Solaizon. That doesn't happen when you're not committed, motivated.
Of course.
And so the idea that fire would just not be there, I doubt it. I think Vingegaard will. Yeah, he just won the Giro, but I don't know. It's hopefully he's okay. Most importantly, it's really shit for him. It's shit for everyone, for his family, because he made a lot of sacrifices this year as well.
It is depressing for the race as well to have the second rider in GC be out of the race, basically. Like, yes, I was critical of Jonas's tactics on Col du Hague yesterday. I think that was completely fair. I still believe that he would have gone for a couple of attacks in the last, 8 days of this Tour de France, and made the race better in that sense.
And we would have seen a different Solaizon, that's for sure.
Yeah. Today was a very odd Solaizon, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, when it comes to the technicalities of the crash, though, Patrick, I have not looked closely at how the crash happened, but I seemingly think you have.
Yeah, so it's a roundabout with cobbles as road furniture on the exit of it, splitting the lane, so tapering off. So you go right, and then it's quite tight. It's road calming. So you have the fast line on the tight line where you would, as a car would go. The Caminants is in front. They're going too quick to take that, so they hop this little cobbled thing that's dividing the two lanes on the exit of the roundabout. And I think the cobbles are not like uniform. They're like nasty cobbles. I'm seeing it from the helicopter shot, but it was not, it was like quite tight then, the lane on the exit. And I think, Vingegaard hits one of those cobbles. And then I can't actually see what happens next, but like what actually caused it. But it was tight corner, road furniture, and he goes down. Del Toro goes over the top of him. Großschartner goes then over the top of him as well. Großschartner was pretty banged up, which is a shame for him. He's been in fantastic shape, particularly yesterday on Ballon d'Alsace. I think he finishes, but his leg was really hurt. Del Toro was okay, and I think Kuss was also banged up. He was behind Vingegaard.
Yep. I think Großschartner was the one that was hopping on his leg later with a bike change as well. So, it's a crash that definitely sucks for the race, but it's also causing adaptations in how the race is going, because Visma was the one pacing. Visma is obviously not pacing anymore, and they'll have to rethink what their goal is now for the rest of the race, which the assumption has to be trying to find a way to get in breakaways and try and get stage wins that way, because there's not much else the team can really do, I think, from this point onwards, outside of trying to get that. And that's where, I think before this Tour de France, we said Wout van Aert completely replaceable as a domestique. But in terms of fighting for stage victories, that's where you're going to miss him. You're going to miss him in the next 8 days for a Hail Mary stage win on Montmartre or whatever, trying to invent that. Now, that to the side, we see Red Bull taking over. Not directly when Jonas crashes, but after the abandonment happens and so forth. And I think that's basically everything that happens, because it's 5 kilometers before Plateau de Solaizon. What, sorry?
Bahrain as well for Pidcock not to go ahead of Lenny on GC.
Okay, that makes sense. But we're now slowly but surely heading to Plateau de Solaizon, the last climb of the day. And it's a pretty tough climb too. It's the one from the Dauphiné. And we saw in the breakaway Mauro Schmidt maybe anticipating pre-climb, getting about 20-25 seconds before the climb started. But the gap from the peloton to the breakaway was about 2:15 at the foot of this climb. And in that breakaway, Pidcock, Simmons, Poisart, and Adam Yates are slowly but surely closing down Mauro Schmidt until we have, once again, like we said earlier, Mr. Quinn Simmons attacking across and basically flying past Schmidt and being the breakaway guy up the road from this point. The rest of the breakaway with Pidcock and so forth eventually get caught. Simmons eventually to on the climb, but I think it's time to start talking about the GC riders, because on this climb, after well, not after Red Bull stopped pacing, but while Red Bull was still pacing with 7.5 kilometers to go, Pogacar does not attack, but he starts pacing, Patrick.
Yeah, he accelerates off. So it was Catania, then Hindley, and Red Bull were happy to have a controlled pace. I think their idea was get over the steep first 4Ks and then get onto the 8% section, and then you got two guys, and you can really play. And they probably thought Pogacar was going to attack, and then you don't respond, and then you play with the other two. But instead, Pogacar just starts to pace after that steep section's over, or maybe at the end of it. He drops immediately. Well, it's like a squeeze. He squeezes everybody, and we see Remco's nose breathing. We see Del Toro's in Pogacar's wheel. Ayuso looks good.
Riccitello's dropped, Skelmo's dropped, Martinez dropped. You say Ayuso?
He wasn't dropping. He does what he's not been doing. Ayuso goes over his limit and doesn't release early enough here. Yeah,
and when he drops, he with 7.5 kilometers to go is when Pogacar made that first starting pacing move. 300 meters later is after Riccitello, Skelmos, and Martinez have dropped. Gap is 1:20 now to the breakaway. But then those 300 meters later, Sixas and Lipovic start to struggle and off the back. So like you said, Patrick, it's Pogacar, Del Toro, Remco, and Ayuso, and he goes over some kind of limit because when Ayuso cracks, it's not like Lipovic where he rides 2 meters behind, 3 meters behind, 4 minutes behind. It's like instantly he drops through and he drops beyond, I think, Sixas to Lipovic. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, he drops to him, and then eventually later on the climb, he's with Seixas and Lipovic, and they're doing a steady pace, and he has a full crack and loses a minute in 3Ks, and he gets caught by guys who were behind him, like Skelmoza finishes ahead, and Lenny finish ahead of Ayuso. So Ayuso paid for not pacing badly. He lost 2 minutes today. So he drops a position on GC and is now from the podium quite far. He's 1.5 minutes behind. Not insurmountable. And
I do think we need to highlight the Pogacar Del Toro strategy. It's pretty obvious, but the reason Pogacar is riding in front of Del Toro, it's not for Pogacar to win the stage here. It's probably, in my opinion, not even especially for Del Toro to win the stage. It's for Del Toro to have more of a gap on the people that they're dropping for GC and for the white jersey. And the more Pogacar can expand that gap, the better it is for Del Toro. And Adam Yates is ahead, who then becomes a satellite rider who starts riding for Pogacar and Del Toro in the wheel, with Remco still present. Now, what I did not expect is Remco to keep holding on. Now, I say that, but Del Toro's been good on the majority of the Tour de France stages, but he's also had a few moments where you saw the struggle in Del Toro. So Del Toro's not the kind of rider with a clear poker face. When Del Toro's struggling, you see that he's struggling. And when Adam Yates was gone and Pogacar started pacing again, it was pretty obvious that Del Toro was struggling more than Remco Evenepoel, right?
Yeah, Del Toro gets basically dropped. He's dropping at one point. Remco slots into second position. Pogacar has to slow down. This is where Seixas, I thought, was maybe going to come close. He squeezes Ayuso off, and he gets it down to 28 seconds, but then Del Toro recovers. Pogacar keeps pacing, but it looks like Remco was doing it easy. I think Remco could have dropped Del Toro today. And so that's what...
Easily.
And I think in the end, he's vindicated because he's 1 minute ahead of Del Toro on GC, plus he's going to smoke him in the TT.
Yeah.
So...
That said, while we were at this point in the race with, 2.5-ish kilometers to go, you and I were probably both shouting at the TV, come on, Remco, attack, because then you're forcing UAE to choose either to go for the stage win with Pogacar, who is going to be hard to beat anyway, or on the other side, keep riding for Del Toro's GC while Remco's riding away, which I think Pogacar was always going to respond to Remco and leave Del Toro behind in that situation, but maybe I also didn't expect to see what happened in the last 300 meters.
Exactly. We all thought Pogacar was going to clean the stage up anyway, and I'm also a very, very conservative traditionalist. I'm like, fuck stage wins. Maximize GC gap at all times. So And also, we were wanting a bit of excitement. Let's be honest. Pogacar holding Del Toro's hand up Solaizon is not the barnstorming battle we hope for from this stage.
Yes, but I actually still enjoyed the stage because it was a different For me, I want to see shit I don't expect. And I didn't really expect, well, it's a logical outcome of Jonas being out that Pogacar can foster Del Toro up the climb. And because I haven't seen it like that in this race before, because Vingegaard would always force Pogacar's hand to go. We saw on, was it the Puy-Marie stage where Visma started pacing behind Mike Carapaz, just mentioning that once again, Patrick, behind Mike Carapaz, in doing so forcing Pogacar's hand because Del Toro was struggling anyway. And yesterday on Col du Hague, it was once again Vingegaard that quote-unquote forced the hand of Tadej Pogacar again, and therefore also, once again, just saying again, behind Mike Carapaz. And today is different because Jonas is not there. So they don't have that force. So it's the first time we see this play out where Pogacar can foster Del Toro up the climb and still play with the stage victory. That said, I'm not sure they expected Remco Evenepoel to be as good as he was today, because we're not talking about an easy climbing performance. Like Nachaka posted the ASLP of today's climb on Twitter. And Remco, according to his measures, did 658 ASLP. That's pretty good.
Well, what Poggy do 665?
He has to have done more, Poggy, because he was in the draft more. But that's very good for Remco. Like, where would we have estimated 2024 Remco's ASLP?
I think you did around that on Plateau de Bay, no? On stage 15?
Yeah, because Plateau de Bay was the best performance in cycling history.
Yeah, it's the same as his Plateau de Bay performance, stage 15, 24.
And that's exactly what we wanted to see from Remco in this race. Wanted to see a level from 2024 again, because Remco 2024 was the third best climber in the world. Period.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he did performances there on Plateau de Bay that like no one ever did apart from Pog and Jonas in like the modern era. So,
what was Del Toro's Plateau de Solaizon again? I forgot. At Dauphiné, 650 or?
Let me see. He's done 2. Del Toro did 650. So Del Toro didn't do too much different, but the reason it's different is he went from the bottom and here he was in the draft. People still don't realize draft matters at 20 k's an hour. Like it really, and when we're talking, but it's not that much. Okay, but say
it still matters.
6 watts is over a whole climb 0.1 watts per kilo. That is pretty significant. 9 watts is 0.15 watts per kilo. You maybe can't feel that, but it matters. So Del Toro did about the same as his Dauphiné performance.
If we take a look at the last 2.2 kilometers, there's a moment with 2.2k to go where Remco and Pogacar speak. Del Toro is struggling while they are speaking. Poggi keeps talking in the radio to Del Toro as well. I don't know what was said between Poggi and Remco, but directly afterwards, Remco takes a pull, which is something he hadn't been doing throughout any portion of the climb. He's been in the wheel the entire time. And then if we go in the last 1 kilometer, then there's an attack by Del Toro actually with 800 meters to go.
Yeah.
A first move. Remco jumps to the wheel. Pogacar comfortably gets to the wheel of Remco. And that happens once again maybe at 400 meters to go, which is what I would say launches the final sprint. Del Toro goes again with Remco responding first, getting to the wheel. Pogacar relatively comfortably getting to the wheel of Remco again. And that's when Del Toro's basically out of the picture for the stage win, right?
Yeah, I think like Del Toro starts to bait because it's clear Del Toro's not going to beat Remco for the stage. Like they knew that because Remco was much stronger on the climb. And then we're thinking the Pog counter is going to come. The problem is, I think Remco wasn't fucked. So basically, he has his full punch left, like we saw in Catalunya, say 24, and Pogacar gets back to the wheel of Remco looked a bit like slow when Del Toro attacked a second time. But then we're thinking Poggi's just going to come and out sprint him. Remco kicks at 150. Pogacar gets back to the wheel and then stays in the wheel. Remco goes across the line. I'm going to get called delusional, but I'm going to say what I actually think.
Oh, do it. Fuck it.
It's not 100% gift. I think Pogacar thought there was a chance he might not come over the top of Remco, and it's better to make it look like a gift than the 20% chance he wouldn't have nailed him in the sprint.
Lava hot take. I'll be honest. Remco in a sprint can beat a Tadej Pogacar in a sprint.
That's what I mean.
That's a default, very natural take. The one thing that I find very weird is the Pogacar didn't even get out of the saddle. And that's what makes me lean towards...
He's got to make it look like a gift.
Yeah, but I don't know how to... I cannot 100% say that Pogacar would have won if it wasn't a gift, but it very much looked like a gift. And I will add on to that. I think Tadej Pogacar could have won by a minute today.
Yeah, of course, yes. I'm not saying
but
that.
But in the sprint scenario, you're not 100% certain.
I'm talking specifically when the sprint opens at 200. I'm not talking about the climb.
78% gift. What is your percentage?
That's what I said, 20%.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck if you gifted it, Tadej Pogacar. Why would you gift it? There's no logic here to gift it.
That's
Are you gifting it because Jonas Vingegaard crashed out and you wanna feel good about it?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't care.
It's incongruous with Vingegaard's pulled him. Remco didn't pull.
He did one pull, one relay.
Remco wasn't owed anything.
Yeah. That's why I don't understand why he would gift it.
Exactly.
He shouldn't.
He doesn't owe Remco anything. And he wants stage wins. He wants the stage win record. That's why he did not want to try and lose.
To be clear, I think Tadej Pogacar could have won that sprint.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I'm saying there's a chance he might not have.
But I think the other side of the coin for me is, if Remco isn't owed anything and is sprinting all out for the victory, and Pogacar just in his head decides to, I don't want to win the stage today, then don't go out there claiming it's like a gift in return to something, which Pogacar hasn't done that either. So I'm not saying that Pogacar has done that. It just looks like that. It doesn't take away from Remco's victory, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree 100%. I think Remco was incredibly strong today, did a career climbing performance, and then a massive, massive sprint. I don't know. People
81% gift.
I know everyone's going to say I'm crazy, and I do agree. It's an 80% gift, but not
81, Patrick. Okay, 81%,
but not 100% gift.
I love how we've got a percentage marker now on the gifts.
I'm watching the overhead here. Pog's out of the saddle. Remco is sprinting. Is this in slow motion?
It's in slow motion?
Yeah, it is in slow mo.
Okay.
I was like, fucking hell. I think Remco straight up smoked him.
Okay.
From the helicopter shot, I think Pog...
I want to believe it.
I think Pog was like, I don't reckon I'm going to come around you. I'll just stay here.
I want to believe it, but I don't.
Now, obviously, the alternative is Pogacar could have just attacked with 4Ks to go and won by a minute. So he obviously didn't care about the stage win that much.
The only reason that I'm definitely leaning to gift is because he doesn't get out of the saddle. And even in a sprint that Bogey's losing, he would get out of the saddle.
Yeah. So Remco wins the stage. It's his first Tour de France road stage victory ever.
Before you do a celebratory thing, I want to ask every single person in the comment section, whether you're on Spotify and YouTube, put your percentage gift of this stage in the comment section, and I want explanations. I don't just want, 69%. I want 69%, and this is why.
Why would he, what is Remco owed?
I think, is
it like a disrespect thing?
My headcanon is, I think he would find it weird internally to win like this after Jonas crashes out.
I also thought that when I was walking over here, to the pod.
Walking over here. Your living room is 10 steps away.
I actually kind of agree with you. It pains me to say it. But I think I think Pogacar thought it might be a bad look, him throwing his hands in the air with Vingegaard crashing at the bottom of Solaizon.
I'm not sure it's like an internal thought of it's going to be a bad look. I think it might be him just thinking it's the right thing to do.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it's just, it would just feel weird throwing your hand. Yeah.
Controversial take? I think that's a humiliating thing to do, to be honest.
Nah.
I think that's weird. I think Pog should have just won.
I agree. But I was also watching, I was like, you serious? You couldn't do this on Col de la Couillole 2 years ago? When Jonas pulled you up the whole climb?
Nah, that's a rivalry. I'm sorry.
But that's why I mean it's a respect thing. I think if I was Remco, if you think it's a gift, I would have braked. Because I'm crazy. Like if someone tried to gift me a win, I'd break.
There's no way you would do that.
Yeah, I'd be like, fuck that.
Yeah, but
I don't think it was a gift. I think Remco smoked him.
It's also Remco Evenepoel. So remember the Roglic Catalunya last stage.
That wasn't a gift.
You're saying Remco beat Roglic there 1v1.
And Jorgensen Paris Nice finish.
Okay. Now those were definitely those were like 100% gifts.
Could be.
But I think Remco headcanon is that he just smoked Tadej Pogacar.
I think he did. That's what I've been saying. I bet you Remco, comment, come on, you got a YouTube channel, comment with your power data for the 30-second sprint. Please. Back me up here. I'm telling you, Remco is so fast. Strange stage. Really, really strange, historic stage, like UAE pacing with the yellow jersey for Del Toro. Anyway, Remco wins the stage ahead of Pogacar. Del Toro on 6 seconds. Sykes 58 seconds with Lipovitz in the wheel the whole time. So Lenny 157 on another minute back. Schelmoser with him. Ayuso 2 minutes, so that was more or less the same group with Adam Yates. GC-wise, Remco moves into second. Vingegaard's abandoned, obviously. Del Toro moves up 4 spots into third. He would have been in fourth with Vingegaard there. He's on 5:58. Sykes 6:23. Lipovitz moves into fifth on 6:48. Ayuso 7:28. Schelmoser 7th, 9:38. Lenny 10:28. Pidcock 11:19. Jagat is back in the top 10, 19:26. On Sykes Benji. As everyone knows, Joint Cycling has the sales SAS, the higher Paul Sykes goes into Tour GC, the bigger your discount. He's currently in fourth. He's 35 seconds behind Del Toro. He got put on 50 seconds by Del Toro today.
25. Respect.
25 seconds?
Yes.
No, Sykes put him on 50 seconds today. Del Toro put him on 50 seconds today.
25 seconds in GC behind Del Toro?
Yeah, but on the climb, he won by 52 seconds plus bonus.
Correct.
So yeah, it's only 25 seconds the GC gap though, because Sykes was ahead of him. So Sykes actually gets leapfrogged but stays put because Vingegaard's out. Anyway, if he's outside the top 15, you only get 15% off an annual sub to Join Cycling. Top 10's 30%.
Okay.
Top 5 is 40%. So right now we're at 40% off, and he just got put on 50 seconds. He did not get dropped by Lipovitz. So
Patrick?
Top 5 looks pretty good. Are we holding? It's for him to smoke Del Toro in the TT?
I would lock in 40% right now.
You would, you coward.
I would lock that in, and the reason is different, Patrick. I see supporting Join Cycling as supporting the Lanterne Cycling podcast, and I am a very big fan of the Lanterne Cycling podcast, so I'm happy to donate that extra 10% even if he gets on the podium in the next couple of weeks. Just saying that.
I think after today, there will be quite a few of everyone listening who will pull the trigger on the 40%, take what, maybe he fades, take a good thing when you've got it. 40%, as Benji says, is a very healthy discount. But yeah, let's go then to the preview of the time trial after the second rest day. Rather, we have from Evian-les-Bains, Benji's most hated place, to Thonon-les-Bains, 26 Ks. It's hilly, 9.6 Ks at 4%. and then descent, and then the last 10 Ks is flat on the way back to the city of Tonon-les-Bains or town or whatever it is. And as I said, we have Remco Evenepoel 5 minutes back behind Poggi. So, yeah, he's not going to make that up, is he? But he's going to take big time on Del Toro, at least a minute. So Remco could be 2 minutes ahead of Del Toro after this TT. Should be.
Wait. Is there a reason Tadej Pogacar hard pace, not just to get Del Toro into like a good position in GC, but to make sure that the joint cycling discount is as low as possible? Is he a hater?
Yeah. I mean, Pogacar should be a hater of this podcast. I would be.
He did decline the last 2 times I asked to come on the podcast, but
I think he doesn't do much media. We have to try. I will try, because it will be like when Big Cat interviewed Aaron Rodgers. Like, we'll video it.
Yeah. Would you like attached to the wall, like with like tape over your mouth, and I'm asking the questions? Because
no, we're like, he sits down and is like, all right, first questions. I say, shut up. I just go, how dare you? First question, how dare you?
How dare you humiliate me for 2.5 years?
2.5. Nearly
3.
I don't think he knows about the joint cycling discount. So I think Remco is going to win the stage. He's in magic shape. I can't get away from Remco winning the stage, frankly, even though Poggi did beat him on the Nice TT, but I think this is not as hard. But it's going to be close to Pog. Should be close to Pog. Does Sykes take 25 seconds on Del Toro?
Yes.
So why would you lock in the 40% joint cycling discount?
Because I didn't use my brain, Patrick.
That's what I'm saying, because he'll be in third, and then you can pound the 50% before he gets dropped again.
I cannot confirm or deny that you are right.
Yeah.
I think you're very right.
Del Toro's not the best TT rider.
Yeah, like on his best day, maybe he can stay ahead of Sixels, but I don't see it. On tomorrow's time trial, I would expect
Tuesday,
Remco and Pogacar to fight for the stage win, Paul Sixels to jump onto the podium, Lipovic do a really competent time trial.
Yeah.
So if Sixels has a bad TT somehow, then Lipovic might actually be on the podium. Yeah, not feeling as confident there. Because Del Toro was also not absolute dog shit in time trials either.
The Basque Country one he was, but was he no good in Basque, or did he crash? He was sick or something, or injured. He abandoned it, so he wasn't 100%.
He crashed in stage 2, if I recall.
Yes. Del Toro did a good Tirreno TT. Actually, did he? Not really, to be honest. Like, he's 2 seconds ahead of Jan Christen, a good TT. Not really.
My big question is the following, Patrick. Can Ilan van Wilder take back 2 minutes 33 on Jordan Giga to get into the top 10 of GC?
All right. Van Wilder can, yeah. Van Wilder's going to be like near 10th.
His level's not been great in the Tour, though.
It's been good enough.
Yeah.
Like, Jagat's got that time from breakaways. Van Wilder was in the break today, but then the break got no margin. So
that said, he had a mechanical in like the first week too, if I recall.
Yeah. I think Sykes is ahead of Del Toro in GC after the TT. I think Remco is over 2 minutes ahead of third place in GC after this. I think Lipovic is ahead of Del Toro, maybe even.
More importantly, who's going to win the time trial? Because I'm pretty sure that in the run-up to this time trial, you picked Pogacar twice and I picked Remco twice.
I'll go Remco then. Hedge my bets.
I'll go Pogacar, hedge my bets. I'm ahead, so...
It's too hard for Ghana? Yeah, 4%.
Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
It's too hard. Too long the climb. Okay, Remco's on the up and up. Bora looking good for a podium and maybe a top 5 as well from Lipovic. Anything else from the pod today? Any other news, Benji, that you've seen? Any tweets?
Actually, I'm going to make it more fun. I'll pick Remco as well, because that way you've at least got a bit of a lifeline if Pogacar wins. Because right now, prediction contest, like I'm up here, Patrick. You're like right here below the ground right now. So I think I need to give you like a bit of a lifeline.
Where will
Pure ignored.
yeah, but wouldn't no, because now you're following my pick.
No, Patrick. I'm gifting you the stage win.
Nah, you're scared. You're scared to compete.
I'm gifting you the
You're
stage
scared
win,
to compete
Patrick.
and lose, so you'd rather not compete at all.
Earlier you said if you feel like you're getting gifted a stage win, you'll pick someone random. So I'm waiting for you to switch to Yannis Fazar as a response of me gifting you the stage win.
Remco will be the favorite, right? Yeah, he'll be a short favorite.
It's still it's a pretty tough climb.
It's not that hard. It's 4%.
Tadej Pogacar, a pretty fucking good cyclist, Patrick.
It's not on these TTs. Not in the sprint today, that's for sure.
One thing about sprints, Tim Merlier DNF today. Inkhorn had left him behind because he was looking like he would be out of time limit.
Okay.
So he's out of the race. Can I be completely honest? I think it's partially OTL. I think it's partially also, I think there's this sickness called not enough motivation because there's not enough flat stages to warrant riding up this mountain sickness.
Have you seen he got the Tour of Poland? Merlier should do the Tour of Poland, then Renewy.
Then the first week of the Vuelta.
The first 3 stages of Poland are like flat sprints.
Yeah.
And Vuelta, don't worry about that.
As 1-3 sprint stage, wasn't going to win green, so I don't see the value of him staying in too much.
Was he really going to, when the big guns like Pedersen and Van der Poel go on stage 21? I know it's further from the finish. Was he really going to survive Montmartre? I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either. If anything, I'm getting more confident in Philipsen as the days go on. I just think stage 17 will be the nail in the coffin for him for green.
I agree. All right, thanks for listening as always. Sad day in the Tour. Sad day for Vingegaard. But yeah, big changes in GC. We got a rest day tomorrow. We'll see you at the Tuesday TT recap. Until then, ciao, ciao.